Welcome, welcome. I'm Marcy Billen, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Oklahoma City Metro. Thank you so much for joining my live stream. I do this twice a month. So today we're going to be talking about the real estate market here in Oklahoma. We're at kind of mid-year, but a lot of the numbers we'll be talking about are from June. So keep that in mind, but they're a really good representation of what is happening here in our state. So first thing, I live in Norman. I'm a resident of Norman, Oklahoma, and this is my twice per month show. I used to do it weekly, guys. I think we can all be a little bit human here together. It was so exhausting, and I just could not keep up. So here we are, twice a month. So I'm your guide for all things real estate, Oklahoma real estate adjacent. So before we get started, be sure that you go ahead and hit that like button. I also have a newsletter list, and you're going to find that if you're on YouTube, you're going to find it in the description. And whenever you click to join that newsletter list, basically you get my newsletters, obviously. And so those happen twice per month. So for instance, one goes out this Thursday, and what I'm sending out for you are 3 really cool listings. 2 of them are like remodels. One's in Norman and one's in Oklahoma City, and I think they're amazing. And then also stuff about events in the community. There could be some other things, but I know you guys just like to look at pretty houses half of the time. And then I send out a lot of YouTube videos, but I know you're watching them on here. So thanks so much for doing that. As you may have guessed, I'm a realtor. I think I said that. Anyway, if you have questions about the market, this is the time, guys. Like this is it. Do I want to talk about real estate when I'm at someone's birthday party? No, I do not. But I do it. I do it for you because I am a real estate agent, and I realize it's something that kind of feeds into other parts of life, right? Very good. So today I'm actually filming in our studio at our office. Handsome and I filmed in here last week. If you guys haven't watched that, I interviewed my husband. He talked about what it's like, what it's been like to be an Asian person here in Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma City Metro, for the last 29 years. That doesn't seem right. Is he that old? Don't tell him I said that. He does not watch this. So I did realize I blended in with the background, but then I turned the lights off, and we are all good on this front. So welcome, guys. Like I said, I want this to be a conversation because I could just be here talking about numbers, and that's fun for me. But I don't want to do that. Oh, thank you. Thanks for saying that was an interesting video. It's interesting watching us talk, I think. Maybe. Thank you so much for watching, though. I really appreciate it. I know that the sound was a little funky, but we'll get that sorted out. That's part of why I'm filming in this studio, is because I have to figure out this mic because it's weird. And I don't have this particular mic at my house. So that's why I'm doing this. And I do a lot of stuff at our office. So cheers, guys. This is water. I do have to drive. I have to drive home. Like I said, drop your questions. That would be super helpful to me. Otherwise, I'm just talking about numbers to myself. So let's not do that, right? Awesome. So first thing, where is it? And then my brain just quits. You guys have that feeling? Yeah, I know you do. So I'm going to share this article with you. This is from the Oklahoman. I've said this before. The Oklahoman is one of my favorite news sites. It's definitely my favorite-ish here in Oklahoma. I don't read the Norman transcript because it's horrible. They don't really report on things from my community, which is what I'm really after. So to me, if you're a Norman, you need to be reading the OU Daily, which is the student newspaper at the University of Oklahoma. By far, to me, that just it's amazing. Like, you have to read that because I feel like they don't have a filter. They'll say anything. They'll say anything. Cheers. Hey, Elisa. Nice to see you here. Okay. So back to this article. I'm going to share my screen with you here. Share. Okay. This article, and if you can see it, great. If you're just listening, I am going to explain. This came out July 6th. So we're mostly talking about June numbers because that's mid-year, right? So that's what we have to talk about. Across the country, we're definitely seeing some very interesting things happening. One of the things that's happening is in Austin, in Dallas, the market's stagnating a little bit. So what does that mean? It means that things that are on the market, homes that are like for sale, aren't selling, or they're not selling very quickly. So why is that happening? Well, there's several reasons. I'm not an economist, but I am a real estate agent, so I watch these things a little bit. What I definitely see is, first of all, during the pandemic, places like Texas, they were selling stuff for $100,000 over asking price. And we never did that here. Like maybe like the off chance one or two houses would go like 50 or $60,000 above list price. But mine, I never did more than 30,000, and I think that was only one house. Usually we were looking at 10 or 15,000 above the asking price. Another thing that is really interesting is that in places like California, which California is not doing too bad to my understanding, in places like California, Texas, Florida, um, their market's just a little bit more volatile, and I think that has to do with the coast, and it has to do with a lot of things. I've never lived in any of those places, nor do I want to. So, cheers if you do. I There are lots of places I would like to live, but those are not on the list. So if you do live in one of those places and you want to drop in the comments here, like what you think is going on or what you notice, I would love to hear what you think. All right, Alan, it is so good to see you also. Thank you so much. I feel like you haven't been on in a couple of weeks, months, weeks. I don't know. Is it July? Is it almost August? Yeah, I think that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at, guys. So next, going back to this article. So Richard Mize writes these articles for the Oklahoman. I'd like to meet this person. I'd actually like to have him on the show. I wonder if you would do that. I feel like you would. That's a good thought. So I'm kind of an analog person, so I'm gonna go ahead and write that down as a note. I do want him to be on the show. There's a lot of other people too that I'm thinking about. I'm like, I just want to invite them and they can be in their own houses. That would be fine, right? Anyway. So this says heat waves home sale increase in the Oklahoma City area, but lags behind central and southwest Oklahoma. That's funny to me that central is different than Oklahoma City. Whatever. That's weird. So this covers that in southwest Oklahoma, and I guess central is like south of Oklahoma City, the home sales went up about 12% from April to June, essentially. And I can definitely see that with like people wanting to move out of the metros, but also moving in from other states. And then also, I'm seeing a little bit of flight from boomers, especially who need to be closer to hospitals and doctors because there aren't many of those things out in the rural areas. And I don't know if you remember, I think the definition of rural that we used was a town of 50,000 or less. And that describes almost everywhere in Oklahoma. So we do see this issue come up a little bit. Oklahoma City and the suburbs saw less of a month-to-month increase in the sale of homes, but we did see an increase. So that was at 6.8%, or 1,565 more sales than we saw in the months prior to that. So this is where I work, is in the Oklahoma City metro. So we're talking, and this says Oklahoma City, which is a huge metropolitan area in terms of land, not in terms of humans. We don't have that much population. Something that really keeps this in perspective is Oklahoma has 4 million people. That is how many people live in Oklahoma total, the entire state. Dallas, DFW, the Metroplex, has 8 million people, double the size of Oklahoma. That's why it feels so chill here, right? Let me check my comments over here. Awesome. Okay. So Arcadia, Bethany, Blanchard, Choctaw, Deer Creek, Edmond, Hara, Luther, Midwest City, Moore, Mustang, Newcastle, Nakoma Park, Norman, Oklahoma City, Piedmont, Tuttle, War Acres, and Yukon. That's what they're calling the metro. I work in all of these towns. Of course, I tend to stay south of I-240 because Norman is south of 240. So that's one of the markers that we use here in the metro. Mortgage rates. So mortgage rates right now are right around 7% or a little bit less. I'm seeing a lot of builders that are buying down mortgage rates for buyers. So what does that mean? It means that they will end up footing the bill to buy down points in your mortgage rate so that your monthly payment is less. It makes the house more affordable for you. So, instead of paying $2,000 a month, maybe you could get it down to $1,800 per month or something like that. That's quite a big difference in your monthly payment. So one thing people love to speculate on is when mortgage rates are going to decrease. So there are lots of different thoughts about this. Do I want mortgage rates to decrease? Yes, for your sake, I absolutely do. But also, I don't. Low interest rates were part of what got us into the current, home prices are a little bit higher than they maybe should be. So that's one thought. Another thought is people believe that in September they're going to drop the rate. We often see this before a presidential election. And the reason for that will be typically that, the party in power wants to keep their voters happy. But we don't know if that's going to happen. I have no idea. They haven't dropped the rate that much this year. I think it was only one rate drop, maybe two, I think. So nothing crazy. What I'm seeing buyers do at this point, because I work with a lot of buyers, a lot of you wonderful people, is that buyers are wanting to go ahead and buy right now, because if the rates drop, basically it'll get more competitive. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So bear with me on this, okay? Seller's market persists in Oklahoma City housing. So what is a seller's market? Well, a seller's market is anything below 6 months of inventory. Inventory is how we measure the amount of houses that we have and the rate of sale. So for instance, right now in Oklahoma City, we have about 3 months, 2.8, I believe, 2.8 months of inventory in Oklahoma City, not in Norman or Edmond, in Oklahoma City. Oh, my light died behind me. Sorry, guys. I must have not plugged it in earlier. It was purple, which I like, but So these inventory rates, we can see them rising, not just in states like Florida and Texas, but also here. And I'm going to show you that. But we are still in a seller's market here in Oklahoma. And what I tell people whenever they ask me about the market is, well, what are you talking about? Are you wanting to sell your $1 million house? So that might be a little difficult. Are you wanting to sell your $220,000 house that's in beautiful, perfect condition? Yeah, we can do that really quickly with multiple offers. So it totally depends on the situation, right? There are so many factors to take into account, not just, the market's good or the market's bad. That's a blanket statement. And it doesn't make any sense. No sense. All right, we're going to look at the supply. I think that's all I wanted to look at on here. Yes. There was this other article about how these sellers fared in selling their houses. So Whenever I'm selling a house, I tend to be very direct. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. If you watch my videos, I do like to be direct. Sometimes I hurt people's feelings. I would apologize, but I don't care. So with selling a house, there's a lot more that you've got to do in order to sell it well. But I've always believed that. Like even before the pandemic, I've always believed that there's so much prep to go into selling your house because ultimately the transaction will go so smoothly if you just do the work up front and it sucks. Like I'm sorry. It's really hard, but you have to do it. Okay, guys, let's move on. I'm going to stop my screen share and present in my other, this one. You like that? Like how I can't see anything? Cool. Here's a nice graph. So I'm going to show you all these graphs, and they're so boring, and I'm so sorry, but we'll have fun with it, guys. Like I promise we'll try to have fun. And know that like I'm on my laptop today, so I can't always see whenever you make a comment. So make comments, ask me questions, but just I'm like toggling back and forth because I'm not at home on my big computer, which has all this space on it for me to look at things. So here's what we're looking at. What I have here, this is my info sparks. These are my nice graphs and charts, and I really like them. So this is going to be a bunch of different numbers. What I have up here right now is the entire MLS, which I don't want because it doesn't really tell a good story. We like stories. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up Oklahoma City. So that's a city, 700,000 people, right? We're going to put up Norman, my town, which is 128,000. We're going to put up Edmond, which is 96,000. 96? Yeah, that's right. And then we're going to put up Yukon, which I don't have memorized off the top of my head, but that's fine. We'll get there. We'll get there. So these are my numbers and what this shows us. So let me see if I can make this bigger for you. Do you like, there we go. Perfect. So we have green, red, purple, and light purple. I think that's blue. I can't see. I have a light shining right in my face. So Oklahoma City, Norman, Edmond, and Yukon. So we have the median sales price up right now. So this is telling me the median sales price in each of these cities right now. Oklahoma City's median sales price is $240,000. It is more affordable than any of the suburbs that we're looking at. Okay. And it always kind of has been. It just is. Norman, the median sales price is $293,750, and that's just right below that 300,000 mark. And the average is going to be probably a little bit less than that. Edmond is at 376,000. So, like I tell people, Edmond keeps their median price about 80,000 more than Norman does. And I don't know, guys. If you need to live in Edmond, please live in Edmond. It's a good town. Like they do a lot in the community. If you don't need to live in Edmond, maybe don't. It is pricier than most other things. Yukon is at 270,000, so right below Norman and above Oklahoma City. Wonderful. So then we change it to averages. And yeah, like I said, Norman's at Norman went up on the average 345,000. That means that a couple of $1 million houses may have sold or like luxury homes. And then Edmond, 444,000. Okay. Yeah, cool. So I want to go back to median and we're going to look at this. So what we're looking at here is, so we can't really see much with this one. We're seeing if the median sales price has changed a lot. So that's a 1-year view. So I'm going to go back to 3 years. So the median sales price has crept up for all 4 of these cities. And I would venture to guess that in places like Austin and Miami, we're going to see much bigger jumps than this slow crawl of the median sales price in these cities. That is what I have noticed. Um, these are still semi-affordable homes, semi-affordable prices. So new listings. This tells a good story of um, how much competition there is, like if there's more homes for sale, if buyers have more of a choice. So if we have the same number of buyers but more homes for sale, then they're going to end up offering less, or they're going to end up all competing over the same house that they really love. And that is why doing the work up front is so important. So here we can see in Oklahoma City a dramatic increase of homes for sale. And I think the numbers, it's like it's 80% more. So almost double the amount of homes for sale in Oklahoma City. And then in Norman, it's gone up just a little bit, and it's about 80% from the beginning of the year. So about double the amount of homes for sale. And then for Edmond, it's a little bit more steep, more like Oklahoma City. And for Yukon, thank goodness they haven't gone up much, because the Yukon market is very different than the Norman or Edmond market, partly because of the sheer amount of brand new homes that went up in that community during the pandemic, which we've talked about before. If you need me to go into it, I will. Let's see. Steve, you say any decent small town south of Tulsa, looking at 1 to 5 acres under $300,000. So, okay, so I'm guessing you want a house on the 1 to 5 acres south of Tulsa. See, I'm from northeast of Tulsa, Claremore, and I know you can get that in Claremore. South of Tulsa, like I really like Tahlequah. Some people do, some people don't. I like it because it has hills and trees. Like that makes me happy. And I live in the middle of the desert, apparently, over here. So let's look at the map here really quick there, sir. Because Muskogee you're gonna find some great deals there. But it kind of depends on how far south you want to go, map of Oklahoma. And yeah. Muskogee. So the closer you get into Tulsa, the more expensive it's going to be. So Broken Arrow is very expensive, comparatively. Jenks is the most expensive, and then once you get down into like Coweta, imagine that it's going to get less and less. So I was talking about Muskogee. I don't know if there's any like directly south. Man, I haven't been to any of these places before. Yeah. But I've definitely been to Muskogee, and I've definitely been to Porter. So Porter has peach orchards, and my mom and I would go every July to get bushels and bushels of Porter peaches. So we did that. Fort Gibson is down here. People really like that. It's a lake town. And then I've had people like moving out to Shodo. And it's an interesting little community. I haven't been out there in so long. Like I used to go to Maisie a lot, twice a year for basketball games. And then Inola, that's really close to where I'm from. So yeah, I would say like Porter, Muskogee, and then you have Tahlequah, which is way over here. So those aren't directly south of Tulsa, but I'm seeing people ask me more questions about these areas. So I hope that helps you. Thank you so much for asking. Sweet. Back to this. So new listings, we're seeing more listings come on the market. And are we seeing more buyers enter the market? Well, yeah, because we're having more sales. Does that mean if you're thinking about buying a house, you should? I don't know. It depends on your finances. It depends on if your lease is ending. It depends on if you need to downsize, if you need to upsize, if you're moving your mom in with you and you need to sell her house. Like there are so many different reasons that people need to sell. And I think here too, like I don't think we're seeing the amount of homes, the amount of inventory come on the market like in other states, partly because first of all, we just don't have as many people. Like I said, only 4 million in the state. But then also because the only people who are selling are the people that have to. Because why would you give up your rate, your 2.75% rate? You might not. But some people need to. And that creates a little bit of an issue. It feeds demand, right? Cool. Homes for sale, we can see the incline on this, Oklahoma City, which has, of course, the most people of any city in Oklahoma. And then also the inclines here in Yukon, which I'm glad they're leveling out. Oh, I'm so glad they're leveling out. And then Edmond is going up quite a bit. Norman is pretty level as well. And we have a big thing going on in Norman right now. We had SEC Day on July 1st. That feels like yesterday. It's July 23rd, you guys. Holy crap. What does that mean? They're expecting 100,000 extra people to be here on August 30th for the first SEC game. Are you playing Tulane? I want to say it's Tulane. I don't know. I will not be at that game. I won't even watch the game. But I understand that the SEC is going to have a huge effect on Norman. It's super fascinating economically. All right. From 40 and North, Steve. 40 and North. Okay. I see what you mean. Sorry, my brain took a second to, oh, yeah. Yeah. So I would say Muskogee, Fort Gibson are going to be cool places. Tahlequah. There's Shakota right there. That's where Carrie Underwood is from, if you were wondering. And then you get closer in, and I know that there's large developments going up in Glenpool, but you're wanting 1 to 5 acres. So maybe not, right? Wagner is another place that is an easy drive to Tulsa, but you may be able to find still some acreages. If you need some help with that, just send me an email. I have someone that lives in South Tulsa, and he's really good. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. Oh, goodness, guys. So yeah, if you need help, let me know. You can send me an email. Let me put my email up here for you. Here you go. Send me an email and I can get you connected so that you can find what you're looking for. So I was going to say something else, but I decided against it because it would get me off track. Oh, so homes for sale have crept up, especially in Edmond and especially in Oklahoma City. We're seeing things level out in Norman, and I do think part of that is, Airbnb is a thing here in Norman, so we see sales there. We see, I'm seeing a lot of people move into Norman. We have a good amount of new homes, but it doesn't flood, right? So because we don't have as much land as say Edmond would have to expand. So I think it kind of keeps things, keeps a lid on it, right? Keeps a lid on it. So pending sales have basically stayed flat, meaning that it's like the same amount of buyers that are in the market. So what does that mean? Like if you want to sell your house, what does it mean if pending sales are staying flat? Will you get as much money for your house? No, probably not. But if you do the work and you have the right marketing plan in place, which in my world, marketing and negotiating are one and the same because perception is everything. Perception is everything whenever you're selling a house. Like literally everything, guys. Don't leave anything up to chance in terms of perception. So will you get as much money? No. But if you create the demand for your house, then I think you can. And then for buyers, what does that mean? To me, it means if you have been sitting on the fence, waiting is what that means, then you need to get out there and purchase a house. You don't have to put 20% down. I know some people believe that. You don't need to, you don't have to put 20% down. You can get some help. There's some bonds in some different places if you need some extra money. for like down payment and stuff like that. And right now too, it's really cool because I'm seeing sellers pay more closing costs. So if need 5 or 6 thousand dollars from the seller in order to close on a property, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing it happen more and more. And because it works out for everyone, the seller gets their money and you get a house. So it's all about working towards a common goal. Let me check over here for you guys. Oh, no comments. All good. All good. Next up, we have closed sales. They have gone up a little bit since the beginning of the year, but they are down compared to COVID times. COVID times were hard. They weren't hard for home sellers necessarily. You got a lot of money for your homes. They were hard for home buyers. They were hard for me as a real estate agent. It was exhausting. It was really overwhelming. So, keep that in mind. And then why I say keep that in mind is like be patient with me. Sometimes it's a bit tough. Days on market. We are seeing a slight uptick in days on market, but understand that the market is still moving pretty quickly. Like when I'm telling my buyers, like, yeah, you kind of need to let me know like in an hour if you want to put in an offer on this house, then I'm not kidding. You do need to let me know. Our average days on market or median days on market is 14. So that's going to be for your, like, do you guys know how median is found? So it's like the most number, like the number that occurs the most in the data set. So 14 in Norman, 12 in Oklahoma City, 14 in Edmond, 15 in Yukon. This is across the board. And we're mostly going to see this number around that affordable price range, which is going to be from like 250 to 350, maybe up to 400,000. That's not very many days. It's not. And I still call whenever I'm showing properties, I will call the listing agent and say, "Hey, do you have any offers on the property?" Even if it's 40 days in, because I have literally been in a multiple offer situation at 40 days in the past month. This happens. So you need a real estate agent on your side that's going to do that work and going to ask the right questions and make that relationship with the listing agent. It's really important. Let's see. What does that mean? Neons. Will you tell me what that means? Is this like I don't know. Someone tell me. I mean, if it's terrible, don't write it. I'll have to remove it, but I don't know what that means. Thank you for saying something. Okay. Next up, month supply. So this is what we were talking about with inventory. So Oklahoma City has 2.8 months of inventory. Norman and Edmond both have 3. These are still heavily sellers markets, meaning that the seller is going to have the most power in the situation, but it is wildly less power than they had in 2022, which was the real estate boom. Yukon is at 3.3 months of inventory. I see no other reason for this besides the fact that many national builders put up houses extremely quickly, and there's a lot of new builds still for sale. So that is what happened in Yukon. I hope you guys, I'm going to move that like that. It seems like this mic is doing better like this. I had some issues with it last 2 weeks ago. What percent of list price are we getting? 100% in every city. That was from the last month. It did go down. It did go down in January. Here's the thing. You have to price the property correctly. If we're averaging 100% in a month, it's because homes are selling for more than list price. For more than still. And that is how you get the most demand for your house, is pricing it slightly under the value, because then people see the value in your house. I don't know how many times I can say that to people, but you have to believe it. You have to believe it. Cool. I'm not going to do price per square foot. I don't really believe in that metric. It's very bizarre, super strange, and don't pay attention to it unless it is to measure against, like, anyway, don't do that. Don't do it. Okay. Shows depending. I really like to use this whenever I'm looking at doing a price reduction on a listing. And the reason is because, like, so if our median shows to listing or shows depending is 7 and I've had 14 showings, then I need to drop the price. That's just the way it is. So, what does that mean? It means how many showings am I going to have before my property goes pending? And there are lots of different ways that showings can happen. Well, really open houses and showings itself, but it is a metric that I like to look at. Norman, yes, non-smoking. Yes, Norman is non-smoking in most areas, I think. Is that what you mean? If it is, yes, thank you for pointing that out. It is, there's a lot of places you can't smoke. I wanna move on to talking about some of these cities and what we're seeing and telling and how that story ends up going. I don't want that. I'm actually gonna start with Norman. Norman. Norman's the best. This is where we live. This is the market update that we like to look at. So what this is just like a one-pager report. This is from June of 2024 because we don't have July's numbers because it's July 23rd right now. But this tells a really cool story because we're halfway through the year. So the associated zip codes, and if you don't know this for Norman, these are the ones. There's not very many in 73068. That is Noble zip code, and then 73026 is going to be the rural areas of Norman on the east side. Yeah. Yes, as a realtor, you memorize zip codes, and that's a lot of times how I search for things because cities don't mean that the boundaries are where they're supposed to be. So new listings in June of 2024 numbered 193. New listings for 2023 numbered 193, and for 2024 numbered 226. That means there are more homes for sale on the market, which means demand goes down because interest rates are a little bit higher and affordability is not there really. I mean, it is. Homes are still affordable. We still live in Oklahoma. It's a very affordable state, but it's not as affordable as it was. But we do have more pending homes. So that is up 5%, which means that there are more buyers technically, but not a ton. And then these are really interesting. So days on market until sale. So in June of 2023, days on market until sale was at 30 days. That's not the average. This is I think that is the average. Yeah, that's the average. And then June of 2024, it was 39. So you can see the creep up of the amount of inventory that we have. But prices are still going up. Our average sales price has gone up 10% from the previous year. 10%. It's quite a bit. It is. It's quite a bit. We definitely are seeing prices flatten out. But the thing is, and from the projections that I have seen, if the pandemic never happened, then this is still where our prices would be. It would have just happened less violently. The pandemic really made things shoot up quite a bit. So that was frustrating. Let me go over here. Just wanted to oh, hi, Steve. Just wanted to say thank you for your very informative videos and live streams, and 100% agree, perception is everything. It's everything. As I'm sitting in front of you in my sun shirt, because I hate dressing professionally, but you guys know that this is just who I am. So yes, perception is everything, and you're so welcome for the videos. I enjoy making these so much and talking to you guys in this way because I think it helps the most possible people, and that's really important to me. So thanks for commenting. I appreciate that. Going back over here, month supply of inventory. So these are the scary stats for me, is what I would say. Scary stats. 2023, we had a month and a half of inventory on the market. So things were moving quickly. Our average days on market would have been 7, or median, 7 days, which was a long time compared to 2022 when it was 2 days. And now our months of inventory is 3. So it's like 100% increase, and we feel that. And it means more work, which is fine. It means perception, like we talked about, is literally everything. Throwing up a listing and like having clothes scattered all over the floor is not going to sell your house. You have to take the care to get the work done. Inventory of homes for sale. So this is where this number comes from. So in June of 2023, we had 229 homes for sale in Norman. And in June of 2024, we had 414. It's almost double. It is almost double. So what does that mean? Who can take advantage here? Buyers. You need to buy a house. And is it going to be perfect? No. One rule that like people in my office have and I will have as well, depending on the person that I'm helping buy, is if you're wanting a deal, then you need to only look at homes that have been on the market for 7 days and more, like 7+ days on the market. You can't look at a house that's been on the market for 2 days and think that you're going to get $10,000 off that price. You're not. You're not. You have to wait because the seller has to see reality. And you may be in a multiple offer situation, especially if it's really nice. Take this into consideration. Hear me, listen to me. You're like, oh, you're a realtor. Of course you're going to say, no. Yeah, you have to be flexible in the type of condition that you're looking at. I look at homes that have been on the market for more than 7 days and have had a price reduction. And you have to listen and really do your research on what homes are worth in the area, because you're probably, unless there's something crazy about the house, you probably aren't going to get it for like a ton less than actual value. But you could get more closing costs. You could get more things fixed on the house than if, you got it under contract in the first 2 days. There's a lot of moving parts in the negotiation process. There's like 1,000 things I want to say right now. And my brain's like shooting them at me, but it's fine. It's fine. I think you got the the idea there. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to more. I didn't put more in my original numbers because, and I always say this, more is weird. I was about to say it's weird as hell. It is. It's weird as hell because um it's Oklahoma City too. So whenever I'm helping people find a house in Moore, then I'm searching Moore school district, because anything that's in Oklahoma City but in Cleveland County is going to be a Moore school district, and it's like you can drive across the street and be in Moore. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so that's why I didn't do that. Moore is really interesting. These numbers were fascinating to me, and I'm always preaching that Moore is a good place to live. Moore is an excellent place to live. If you saw my last video, Boring Suburbs, I loved making that one, you guys. It was fun. Then you'll see that a lot of people really enjoy Moore, and I think very highly of it. Many of my favorite restaurants are in Moore, and if you know me, then I go out to eat a lot. That's one of the things we really like doing. So new listings in Moore are only up 46%. So this is zip code 73160 and 73170. Moore is mostly 73160. Pending sales are up just a little bit, from 83 to 95 from June of 23 to June of 24. And then median sales price has actually gone down, and their average sales price has actually gone down. What's going on with that? I have my theories. So, well, and we can see on the year-to-date stuff. So, like from January to June of 2023, we can see that the median sales price was 222,000, and then for this year, in those same 6 months, 230,000. That's not a big increase, but it is a little bit. It's not as big an increase as what we saw over here in Norman, right? A lot bigger increase, especially in the median And I've noticed that too, and I've had people looking right around that, like, $260,000 mark, and sometimes they'll end up, like, pushing it up to, like, 290,000 just to get the house that they really want, is what I'm seeing there. So with more I mean, I think this is gonna continue happening a little bit with more. You have to understand that there's only one, like, little piece of land really left for them to build. Oklahoma City swallowed up all the land around them. So, a lot of times people live in more, they live in Oklahoma City, you have a different government, you have a different mayor, so it all depends on what you want. A lot of the homes and more aren't necessarily new builds, they're older, so maybe that's part of it. There are a lot of different things. There's a lot of, like, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1-car garage homes and more. And no, I haven't mentioned tornadoes. I can hear you guys thinking it. Uh, we get tornadoes everywhere. If you wanna live in more, live in more. And it's so great because 'cause you're, like, 15 minutes from downtown Oklahoma City. Just saying. I'm just saying. I am just saying. Okay. Oh, I also pulled these numbers. These are super interesting. So this is Mid-Del and more, which I think it's fascinating that they glue these together. I wouldn't. Mid-Del is Del City, Midwest City together, which makes sense, and then more, which doesn't make sense to me, but it's fine. I just wanted to look at it. One thing that all of those places have in common is, they're close to Tinker Air Force Base, and if you live on the east side of Moore, you can get to Tinker Air Force Base in a matter of minutes sometimes, so just keep that in mind. Not seeing much increase on the year to date stuff, and definitely just a small increase on, the month over a month. Definitely less on the list price, like, they're not like, people aren't getting as much, and it's definitely really bad on the year to date stuff, going from 99.1% to 98.4%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you do the actual math, it's a lot. And then the month's supply has gone up 92% more than any other area. It's because every other area is at, like, 80. Yeah. So what's happening here? I mean, people I think part of it may be that people are getting rid of some of their, um some of their rental properties. There's a lot of people that hold a lot of rental property in these areas. And then I'm hoping people are moving up. There's a lot of small houses in these areas, and these are some interesting areas to move into. And you can get to Oklahoma City really quickly from Del City and Midwest City. So those are things to keep in mind. I really enjoyed talking with you guys today. I hope that you enjoyed it also. We did not get to Edmond, but that's fine. Not Edmond. Ugh, who cares? So make sure if you have any questions, you go ahead and send me an email and I will help you just as best as I can. And remember, if you go down into the description, you can sign up for my newsletter. Yeah, that'll be fun. All right. I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much.